Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our latest panel discussion. We have 6 lovely Toastmaster members here today. We're going to chat about a few things about their experiences in Toastmasters. Now, first of all, I'll ask each of you to introduce yourself. Tell us what club you belong to and how long you've been a Toastmaster. So let's start with Cheyenne.
Hi, my name is Cheyenne. I'm part of Healthy Chatterers and I've been a member for, I believe, about 8 months or so officially, and unofficially a bit longer than that.
Thank you. Karen?
Hi, my name's Karen and I'm from Highfields Toastmasters just outside Toowoomba. I've been in Toastmasters only a few months, since August 2020.
Alex?
Hi Barbara, hi everyone. I'm Alex. I have been in Toastmasters for about 7 years or so, and with Chelmer speakers. And yeah.
Good, thank you. Georgina?
I'm Georgina Humphreys. I've been a part of Brisbane Central Toastmasters now for probably just under 2 years, and I love it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Tessa?
Hi, I'm Tessa. I've been with Darwin Toastmasters on and off for 7 or 8 years now, and it's a pretty fun place to be. Outside of Darwin Toastmasters, I'm actually a structural drafter at an engineers.
Wow, well done. Thank you. So I'd like to hear some of your reasons for joining Toastmasters. So Alex, would you like to start that conversation? Why did you join?
Sure, no worries. I originally joined back when, about 2 months after Chelmer Speakers was founded, just because we kind of knew one of the founding members and he was very persuasive. He wasn't even, Vice President of Public Relations. He was just he's very good at getting people in the door. And I joined with my family originally, back when I was in school, but as a guest for quite a while. And so just soon enough became routine, and yeah, we got a lot of benefits out of it.
Good. You were doing studies at the time too, were you?
I was. Yes.
Yeah. Did you find it helped with your studies?
It definitely helped with, it was quite small scale for me at the time, but a few spoken word assignments or speeches that I had to do during school definitely helped to kind of structure those better, and I definitely felt an increase in confidence pretty soon after, so it was good.
That's good. How about you, Georgina? What was your reason for joining?
Well, growing up, my mum was actually part of Toastmasters ever since I can remember. She used to test her humorous speeches on me when I was really little, and I could see how much fun she was having and the confidence that she had. I'm from a really rural town up in far north Queensland, so when I moved to this city, for some reason, I just thought, oh, why don't I join Toastmasters like my mum did? And I remember walking through the doors that very first day in the middle of this Brisbane Central Club, and it was just such a beautiful, warm, welcoming place, and I never have looked back since.
Thank you. And that is a valid thing. Sometimes it's our first step through the door is the hardest thing to do if you don't know anyone in the room. So well done. Tessa, let's hear about your motivation for joining.
Well, I joined because I was stepping out of the shadow of somebody else. I always lacked confidence. I couldn't really speak to people. I would always hide behind other people. So I just wanted to stop being so invisible. I can't remember how I heard about Toastmasters, but I just thought, but I did. And I thought this is something that I could probably do. And just like with Georgina, I had to book myself in, got myself through the doors, faced that fear of walking into a room full of strangers. And I have not looked back. It was a whole lot of fun then, and it's still a lot of fun now.
That's excellent. Karen, let's hear your reason for joining.
I joined to build confidence and be able to speak up confidently. I work as a financial counsellor and I do a lot of facilitating of workshops, and recently I've been asked to do a lot of media just around some of the laws and things that are changing in our credit world and some consumer action things. So I just thought Toastmasters is a fantastic way to build that confidence.
Wow, there's some serious communication skills required there, isn't it? When you're interpreting legislation. And Cheyenne, let's hear from you.
Well, I'd always heard about Toastmasters from Nan, so I became very interested in it. But the main reason why I joined is because I wanted to see where it could take me in terms of my confidence when speaking, not only in public, but in private, and just how well it could take my diction and my articulation when I speak just to the next level.
That's really valid, and I think your articulation is very clear, but well done. So anyone else want to make a comment on that about why you joined, and really, has joining Toastmasters, is it fulfilling your goals? Someone want to comment on that? I think Georgina would love to. And I'll ask Tess in a minute.
So sorry, I've always got a good comment. I think especially joining Toastmasters at such a young age, it's a way of kind of getting ahead and investing in yourself as a young person. We have a lot of older people in our Toastmasters club that are just starting to join, and everyone's at different stages in their lives. But I think joining when you're young is so incredibly important. It helps you with so many opportunities, whether it's job opportunities, whether it's through study. And I'm really grateful that we have a lot of younger people in our club, and that I found it at such a young age as well.
That's something really valid about the age differences and attracting young people, and young people seeing the value of Toastmasters. So Tessa, you were going to add something to that? What has Toastmasters fulfilled your goals, or is it fulfilling what you want to gain from it?
It absolutely has, because I had really low confidence with speaking with people initially, and actually getting words out. I was so clumsy, and I would fall over my sentences, and it was really awkward speaking to people I didn't know. But having gone through Toastmasters, getting through things like table topics, learning impromptu speaking, that was definitely challenging, and it has really given me the ability to think on my feet a whole lot more than I could before. So that's great.
Good. I'd like to just think a little bit more that Georgina touched on the topic of the different age groups in your clubs. Does anyone want to comment on how that impacts for you? Do you prefer a club with mostly people around your own age, or do you prefer the diverse age groups and backgrounds? Someone want to comment on that?
I will. It's one of my favourite parts actually about the club is how diverse the club is. So we have quite a few elderly people, but really fantastic and dynamic young people as well, who actually have really contributed a lot to my confidence in the club as well. So I've really enjoyed that diversity, and also the cultural diversity, and the diversity also through business, community services, like all sorts of backgrounds. The networking alone is just amazing, and the encouragement for one another. It's really a lovely, safe environment.
That's great. And it is an opportunity to meet people who you would not normally meet in your everyday life outside Toastmasters. So that's great. Someone else want to comment on that? What about you, Alex? About what's the age situation like in your club?
It's pretty for Chalmer. It's definitely more geared towards, let's say, an older demographic. Just kind of how it is. Like Karen said, I do appreciate that the club still has quite a bit of diversity. I'm one of the more, if not the youngest member of the club, but I don't think that's actually, how do I say? I think it works, you know? I think everyone in the club is still very welcoming and still very supportive, and we definitely help each other grow in our own respective directions. I think for some clubs, I've noticed like it just may be more young oriented. I know at the university club at UQ definitely has a few more young people, and at some clubs I think kind of sort of end up that way, that there may be a mix, there may not be, and it's usually always works out, but it is lovely when the club does have that diversity in age, culture, etc.
Yeah. Georgina, have you got comments on that?
Yes, that one is particularly relevant to Brisbane Central. I've been fortunate enough to be part of the executive team, and this year I was part of the executive team previously, but this year it was more of a younger team taking over from the team beforehand that was mainly more senior people, and it was interesting to see the foundations that the senior people had made, and then the take that we had on it. We still respecting what they had put in place, but different perspectives and kind of having that freshening things up a little bit. One of the most major things that I love about Toastmasters is mentorship, and having mentorship from people that are distinguished Toastmasters or have been in the club for quite some time. And my mentor, he's been in the club for like 40 years. So it is extremely important to have that guidance and have that experience, and even learning from someone and their life experiences that literally is over double your age, triple your age even, is actually amazing, and it's fascinating to have that diversity through the club. So I absolutely love that. It's one of my favourite parts.
It's surprising, isn't it? You can, I could give a small example of someone, an elderly lady I met when I was working, and you sort of look at the little old lady, but when I got talking to her, she had been part of the French underground during World War II, and I thought, oh my goodness, there is so much wealth of wisdom and experience. But having said that, for someone who's in an older generation, young people today have such a handle on life, young and are full of ideas that are most certainly beneficial for someone my age to listen to. So it's that good mix. Now, do Tessa or Cheyenne, do you want to comment on that before I move on to the next part of the question? Well, maybe I'll lead you into the next question, is how can we attract more younger members? Because we don't want Toastmasters to be an ageing organisation, even though we appreciate the experience of people my age and older. It's important that we have an environment that will attract younger people into the organisation, because they too have so much that we can all gain from. So how do you think we can attract more younger people? Cheyenne, I'll start with you.
I'd say in general, the way I've always heard Toastmasters be described is it's something that you join in order to build your speech, like how well you do speeches, and build your confidence. And that's a great thing. That's a good thing to always be building upon. But it's not always the most catching thing to hear, especially from someone who's freshly 18. If I didn't have the knowledge that Nan taught me about Toastmasters, I probably wouldn't be interested in it, just because the description sounds like it's so like monotone. So I'd say maybe work on describing it in a more fun way, because of course speeches are a very big thing, but at the same time building relationships and just meeting people, it's probably an even bigger part. So if we could focus on that, maybe even more so than just the speeches, I think that would interest a lot more people, especially younger people.
That's a really insightful comment, Cheyenne, and that's what we're looking for. So Tessa, do you have some comments along those lines? How are you going in Darwin for attracting younger people?
I agree with what Cheyenne was saying, that we've got to, it's not just about making speeches, it's also about developing relationships and all the soft skills that go along with being in a club like this. But I've noticed that many of the people who do come to us, they stumble across us. I think for us particularly, I can only speak from Darwin perspective because I don't know what's happening elsewhere. But we have many people coming through the doors. They're just not the ones who are exactly suited for our particular club. We have so many people who come to us, guests, and some of our members who say that they are there because they need to learn how to do presentation skills or dealing with clients for work purposes. So many people. We've got doctors, lawyers, military, government workers, and students, such a diverse range of people coming through. And a common theme is that they need to pick up the skills required for work. So possibly approaching workplaces to say, we are actually here and this is what we do. It is a fun environment. I know many workplaces, people who have got to do something like this for work, they have to come off their own steam. And if it's outside of working hours, then that puts them off. But once they get into the first two meetings, and they realize that it's such an actually fun place to be, and you could absolutely not feel like going there on some days. But once you get there and you start with the process and you go through all the table topics and you just get to the end of the meeting and you feel elevated. I don't know how you can get that across to people, but that's something that it's intangible. You just feel elevated at the end of a meeting. And I don't think enough people know about it. It's really, if I tell people around work, where I work, they haven't heard of Toastmasters. If I tell some people outside of work, they haven't heard of Toastmasters. But we still get the odd person coming in saying, oh, I found you on Facebook or on Google. So I think it needs to, maybe if we approach some workplaces, then that might actually help, because the younger, especially the junior generation, they are the ones who are going to be carrying the workplace forward. And so, yeah, communication is a key point in that, and developing relationships.
You know, you hit on a really important topic there too, because one of Ralph Smedley's most famous quotes is that we learn best in times when we're having fun, basically. So putting that fun element into meetings, even though there's a lot of education involved, but you've got to have fun. You want people to leave the meeting with a smile on their face. So Georgina, you got some comments on that? How do we attract more younger people?
I was thinking about what I was really coming from a similar place that Tessa was as well, about approaching perhaps more workplaces. One of our president at the moment at Brisbane Central, he actually joined Toastmasters through a work colleague, like a superior person that actually recommended it, and it really helped him to better himself for his presentation skills. And I really think getting word of mouth out there is a massive thing, especially coming from young people like us. If we are able to kind of rally the troops and explain that of exactly what Cheyenne was saying, that it isn't just speeches and it's no fun. Like, it's actually a really important environment to be a part of, especially if we want to invest in ourselves and develop ourselves as young people. So I definitely think maybe workplaces, I'm not sure if there's any way of kind of getting in between uni and that transition from university to workplace is how we can kind of target that, because it does help with job interviews and confidence in that regard, and increase job prospects. So there's something there. I need to put some more thought into it, but I think that's where we could hit a good mine there.
Thank you. What about Karen? Have you got some comments on that?
Yeah, I was just going to add to that. It's kind of got to solve a problem for the audience, that the young people. So you know, if you're talking about, you know, building their skills for and I guess it's using a wording that they relate to, for that job interview, for that presentation, or that work that they're doing in uni, or just something that's really of value to them, or even just along the social scenes, like how do you call to make an inquiry about work and things like that, are really invaluable. Or if you're asked to do a speech. One young lady joined Toastmasters to prepare herself for her speech at her wedding. You know, does it solve a problem for them, for themselves to grow? And then the promotion side of things, are there young people who are in management jobs like with McDonald's, and are they wanting to go into leadership roles and things like that?
Excellent. Yep. Did you have more to say?
No, that's fine.
No? Alex, have you got a comment on that?
I think it's a question I ask very frequently, actually, Barbara, because I think we've had a bit of trouble actually attracting young members. What I've found is that, it was mentioned by Georgina about having things like, and by Karen, about whether it's job interviews or presentations or something. And I've regularly tried to use that to market Toastmasters. What I found is, I think the underlying issue there potentially is that those are kind of short term. You don't necessarily want people to join in on Toastmasters just to overcome that thing. Once you nail the job interview and you've got the job, you're going to need a new reason. And hopefully that evolves with your journey in Toastmasters. So I think what everyone's been saying about how it's more about creating a really supportive environment, and there needs to be that fun aspect about it, because that's what's going to keep people coming back. And that's what's going to really, I guess, evolve into their purpose, because it's a never-ending journey, really. So the reason for wanting to join Toastmasters is, you can have a reason for joining, I suppose, but the reason for staying has to just be, I'm keen to see what happens next week. It's keen to see what happens next meeting.
You're exactly. Sorry, go on.
There just can't be some unattainable goal. It just has to really evolve into its own thing, and seeing how other people's journey goes may help your own. So I think emphasizing that it's a fun, supportive environment to develop continuously, I guess, is really what the main message needs to be.
And that's right, because there's two important aspects of what you've all been saying, really. Is the first step is to how to attract people to come through the door and visit the meeting. And a lot of people have an ulterior motive in that they're looking for a promotion or preparing for a wedding or something like that. But the next step is, when they do join, is but why do people stay? So what sort of things, and we've all really touched on this, I guess I can ask some of you, why do you stay? And I think we've already got this loud and clear from all of you. But Georgina, would you like to add to that? Why do you stay? And I think you've already told us this.
Of course, I have a lot of reasons. I feel like, especially with the environment, it's a really warm, welcoming, supportive environment. There's that sense of familiarity, and also what is really actually inspiring is watching other people succeed and achieve through Toastmasters. Obviously, if you surround yourself with people who are very driven and ambitious and motivated and just dedicated to bettering themselves, that's what you're going to do. And I think that's really really special. Also, having pathways to navigate through, and it's kind of like a challenge, navigating through pathways and being able to present each week or however often. So I really think there's that mixture of community and support, as well as being able to work through pathways, which I really enjoy.
Yeah. And for those who may be watching, I don't know, Pathways is an education program, but it's at your own pace, but very much linked to everyday skills that you can use in your everyday life or your work environment. So I think we've covered a lot of things this afternoon, and I just wonder before we wind up, does any of you want to make any further comments about your experience in Toastmasters, how you would attract other people, or what you think maybe how you use your Toastmasters skills outside the meeting, outside of Toastmasters? Anyone like to make any further comments?
Karen, go ahead.
Karen.
I just love talking about it. Like it's something else other than work, kids, everyday stuff that I love sharing what I've learned, with other people. And I think the more I do that, the more interest comes about it. I've had quite a few because I have I have children in their 30s down to 18. I've got 5 children. So, when I'm excited and telling them about the things that I'm doing, that they're sharing that information. And so you get this network of people, and they've been, one of my daughters is in the Smith family and she runs programs through the Smith family for young people. So, just talking about it with other people, then that just expands out. And now she's looking at doing a course, with Toastmasters. She's looking at how she could arrange that. So I think just talking about our experiences and how much it's benefited ourselves is really the best way to attract people.
Yeah, very good. Alex, you were going to add something?
I was just going to say, I guess, to emphasize on what's made Toastmasters special for me, it's evaluation. I really just appreciate one of the main selling points is it is that supportive environment where you can go and get good critique of your speech or whatever it is that you've done. And even that gets evaluated, the evaluations get evaluated so that you know how to actually give effective critique of what you see around you. And even if you're not actually speaking day to day, you might hear something, how watching the news or hearing someone else talk, and you might be thinking in your head what they could do to improve, and you could hear yourself and speaking and think of what you could do to improve. So even if you're not actually directly speaking or, using Toastmasters to improve speech, it shows up in a lot of funny ways. And it's kind of interesting, I found.
Yeah, thank you. And you've touched on... Yeah, go on, Tessa. Yep.
Sorry. Oh, I was just going to add one more thing, just that through doing Toastmasters and progressing through being there for quite some time, I've actually come to become like a mentor, I guess a mentor, an informal mentor. And it's really great to work with people who are just coming in, set them up in pathways and take them through the first challenge of the icebreaker. And then just to be there to answer questions or to help them find more information or just to point them in the right direction. It's actually really, it's a great feeling to see people getting on their way and to know that you've helped them to push past some of their limiting beliefs or some of their challenges as well. And I'm also moving more, getting my head into the leadership space by being on the committee and taking on roles and just seeing what works, what doesn't work, and thinking about the performance of the club and what we could be doing to actually push forward and become better and just more attractive to everyone else so they can get all of the great benefits that we are receiving.
There's some great insight there, Tessa. And between us all, we've touched on two important aspects of Toastmasters that people don't necessarily think about. They think about public speaking, but there's the mentoring program and evaluation. So we learn to accept help from a mentor, but we also learn to mentor someone else, give someone else guidance. And the evaluation really is the cornerstone of the speaking program, because it's feedback in a supportive, positive way, not to make you feel put down, but to help you to grow. And that's really the cornerstone of the education program too. So I found it a very interesting conversation this afternoon. You've all had so much to offer, so much to comment, and I really appreciate the time that you've made yourself available. I hope you've enjoyed the experience as well. So any final comments before we bring the discussion to an end? Georgina? No?
I'd love to say, if any young people are watching this, that I would strongly recommend joining Toastmasters. I think it's honestly so invaluable. Even if you're not 100% sure, I would definitely recommend going along and visiting several different clubs and seeing where you feel that you might be best suited to, because I think it's been absolutely invaluable for me and a lot of other young people that I know through Toastmasters. It's that structure and that also creativity, and it's a really special thing to be a part of. So I would 100% recommend it. I'm addicted.
Well done, well done. Thank you so much. And I find myself too, I joined 11 years ago just to meet people, and then I ended up district director, so after 11 years. All right, thank you so much, everyone, and I look forward to maybe meeting up with you at some time in the future. Good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you, Barbara. Appreciate it. Thanks to everyone. All the best.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.